So, hi Vibhas, hi Abbas. It's nice to be with you here this afternoon. And I'm excited to talk to you about the performance you have coming up on January 16th with the Riyaz Festival. So, maybe we can begin, Vibhas, with you. Could you talk a little bit about how you began learning harmonium and what inspired you to begin studying and who inspires your music?
Yeah, so when I was in maybe grade 6 or 7, we used to go to India during the summer vacations, and my grandmother pushed me to learn harmonium. So I used to learn from Sri Siddesh Bicholkar, who is a disciple of Pandit Tulsidas Borkar.
Mm.
That I learned from him during summer vacations, and then when I came back, he told us that one of his Guru Bandhus, Sri Kedar Nafre, is in New Jersey, and so that's how I started learning from Kedar Kaka, and I've been learning from him for 8 years almost now.
Oh,
Uh,
that's great.
yeah,
So, and I'm guessing that right now during the pandemic, you're continuing with virtual lessons with Kedarji?
yeah, we've been doing virtual lessons for years now. I used to
Okay.
go, I used to go to New Jersey maybe every 4 months. The first 2 years I started learning, and then
Okay.
after that we just switched to online.
Nice. So it's really nice that the inspiration kind of came from your grandmother, your Aji, to start
Yeah,
learning harmonium. And is there something else about the harmonium as an instrument that sort of you felt sort of pulled to, or an affinity for the harmonium?
I don't think there was anything that made me want to. I don't think there was like a spark or anything that was like, oh, I should start playing harmonium. But once I started, it definitely caught on.
It grabbed you. It grabbed your attention.
Yeah.
Nice. Okay. And Abbas, how about you? Maybe you could talk a little bit about what inspired you to begin learning tabla and who are your inspirations musically?
Yeah, absolutely. I started playing tabla when I was living in Calgary. I was learning from a local teacher over there, and I have some close family members that kind of inspired me to pick up the instrument and start learning it. And then it was probably when I was in my teens, after learning for a few years, that I started taking it a little bit more seriously. I ended up receiving a scholarship and a grant to move to India and study over there. That's where I met my current teacher. His name is Sri Praful Atle, and he's a senior disciple of Ustad Allah Raka. And so it was the first time that I had real exposure to classical repertoire and proper training and practice, and it really changed the whole course of my study and pursuit of this. So it was
Mm.
great, and I've been studying with Praful Bhai since then. Since coming back to Canada, I still take online lessons with him regularly. Um, Musical inspirations would certainly be Ustad Allah Raka and his entire the Punjab Gharana family, I would say. Ustad Zakir Hussain, Ustad Fazl Qureshi, Pandit Yogesh Samsi. And then there's living legends that are around today that I've had chances to take workshops with and study from. So there's so many, even contemporary tabla players that are so inspiring these days, and especially right now, with everybody putting out content and doing live streams, it's really easy to now like hear people, which is also very inspiring. So there's so many senior tabla players and contemporary players that I'm very inspired by. But of course, my guru, Sri Praful Atle, Praful Bhai, as I call him, is a big source of inspiration for me.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, that's it's interesting how you bring up, the fact that there's so much content out there. Sometimes in thinking about the pandemic and the situation we're in, it's, we can't get together to go to live concerts. But one of the things that's happened is lots of people are putting out a lot of online content, and we're getting to see people perform, virtually, but it's a way that we can continue to engage and listen to this to beautiful music at home. I know it for sure brings me a lot of happiness and joy, during this time to be able to listen to virtual concerts and different artists performing. So I think what's interesting about both of you is that you're both young artists, living in Toronto and pursuing your art form. Maybe you can talk a little bit about what has kept you inspired during these months of the pandemic? And is there anything unique for you about the fact that you live in Toronto and you're studying in this city? Vibhas, you want to begin?
Yeah, I think I love that Toronto is such a diverse city. There's a lot of Indian community and people that listen to Indian classical music. We used to be in North Carolina when I was young, and my parents keep telling me how different it was back then because there was not many classical music listeners, and how it's so much different in Toronto now. And I think especially during the pandemic, um, a lot of big artists have been doing online workshops and concerts, and that's been a really big inspiration. My guru is very active with online Riyaz sessions, especially with my guru bandhus back in India, who used to learn from, who are from Pandit Tulsidas Borkar's music family. And yeah, just learning from them, listening to them, and performing with them online was a big thing this pandemic.
Great. Abbas, how about you? What is it like to be a Toronto-based artist for you?
It's so great. I think there's like Vibhas was saying, like the diversity in the city is really incredible, and you get a chance to meet really amazing artists from all different kinds of backgrounds and hear new music. And I think it gets you thinking about how you can reinterpret your own music or your musical tradition and kind of find something new and creative and fun. Yeah, so I've met a lot of people, so that's certainly inspiring. I think in answer to your second question, it's really inspiring to meet amazing, talented musicians from all sorts of backgrounds, and Toronto is a place where that happens really frequently.
I would have to agree. Toronto is a pretty special place musically
Yeah,
in terms of, the musicians who are here in the city and the kinds of music we get to listen to, just the diversity of the music. Vibhas, do you have any favorite places in Toronto you like to go to visit to listen to music?
Uh, I wouldn't say a favorite place to listen to music, but Queens Quay and the Waterfront Trail are two of my favorite places. I do a lot of bicycling. So this summer,
Nice.
2 to 3 times a week, I used to ride from Mississauga to Toronto along the lake and listen to music while doing that. And that was around like 50 kilometers round trip. So I did that.
Wow.
That's what I did all summer.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah.
That's great. And Abbas, how about you? Any favorite places you like to visit in the city?
yeah, I really enjoy the place that we actually recorded this our piece or our music at, which is Small World Music Center. I think that there's some really amazing local musicians and just local talent that's showcased and featured there, and I really enjoy the venue and all the staff and the people that run that entire facility. I think it's just amazing, and also the Aga Khan Museum I think puts on really wonderful programs. So yeah, there are a lot of venues in the city that have like a really diverse range and different styles of music, and two of the ones that I really enjoyed for this type of music are Small World and Aga Khan Museum.
Definitely. Yeah.
Yeah,
Great. Well, maybe we could talk a little bit about your performance that's coming up. So, Vibhas, could you tell us what will you be presenting in the Riyaz Festival?
Yeah. So I started off with Rag Girvani. I played a cut in Mattatal, followed by a Drut Tintal, and both of those were composed by my Dada Guru Pandit Tulsidas Borkar. Following that, I played a Marathi Natya Geet composed by Pandit Ram Marathe, Anga Anga Tavan which it's a ragmala with various rags,
Okay.
Soni, Kedar, Lalit, Mishra, Shivranjani. Then I played a dhun which was composed in the mid 90s by a musician named DML in Mumbai, and it was originally an orchestral piece, and so that's sort of adapted into harmonium. And I ended off with a dhun by Ustad Bismillah Khan Sahab.
Wow. I'm very excited to hear your performance. It sounds like you picked some really great pieces. And are these favorites of yours, or did you pick them for any particular reason?
Uh, Not really. I just liked the variety it was. So there was Urag, and then there was sort of Natya Geet, and then there's
Right.
Dhun, right? So that's the main reason I picked that.
Definitely a lot of variety. And do you hope that the people who watch will come away with what do you hope people will take from your performance?
So I think harmonium has always been considered primarily an accompaniment instrument
Mm-hmm.
because of its limitation in expression and mean as compared to string instruments. So I don't think solo harmonium has caught on as much in this part of the world as it has in India. So I hope that this performance will give a glimpse of solo presentation of the instrument.
Great, great. And Abbas, how about you? Maybe you could talk a bit about your performance with Vibhas and if you hope that people will come away with anything in particular from your performance.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, it was really enjoyable. It was really fun to record together. We had a chance to practice a bit together. We entered our second lockdown in Toronto just before we had to do our recording. So I'm really glad that we got a chance to meet and play together. I agree with Vibhas. I think that the choices of his pieces were really diverse, and they showcase just a range of different solo harmonium pieces. And I just hope that, in the absence of live performances, it's an opportunity for people to just enjoy it with their friends and families. And maybe if we have a chance to play it live at some point with us, then people can come and watch us at some point too. It'd be nice to share that with people in person.
That would be great. Well, I'm really looking forward to hearing your performance. It's on January 16th. And I think it's really inspiring that both of you are young artists pursuing, tabla and harmonium, trying to bring a new sort of way to present this and to young people in the city. And I think we'll all be really excited to hear your presentation on the 16th of January. Thanks, guys.
Thanks a lot.
Thanks, Samidha.